Turn your Bible to Genesis chapter 4, verse 3 to verse 7. Today, I'm sharing with you on what I call, I shall do well. I shall do well. It says, and in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. Verse 4. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and unto his offering. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. Verse 5. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And in verse 6, the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? Verse 7, let's all read verse 7 together. 1, 2, go. If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted. Say it again. If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted. And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. So I'm sharing today a little message I call, I shall do well. Say with me, I shall do well. These are two people who were performing a task. One person put in a lot of work, and it pleased God. The other person also presented something, but God didn't comment on it. With time, the difference in what they did began to show in their lives. And after a while, the blessing or the manifestation of their work began to improve their lives or make them the same. But with time, Cain got angry, and he began to be angry for the wrong reasons. People make bad choices, and then they are angry with the consequences of their choices. Do not be angry because somebody is doing well. Do not be jealous at somebody's success, because if you also do the same thing, you will get the same results. Instead of blaming themselves for not giving of their best, instead of blaming themselves for not putting in extra effort, Cain got angry with Abel and began to plot on how to eliminate him. He's angry in life with somebody who has done his best. Why don't you improve yourself? Why don't you make a choice to also work hard and give off your very best? So God comes to Cain and says, why are you angry? The standards haven't changed. I am not a God of partiality. If you also do well, if thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted. So in actual fact, God was telling Cain, you didn't do well. But if you go back and you correct your mistakes and you do well, you will also have the same opportunities and be accepted. If you do well, life will treat you with opportunities. Don't make a bad choice and blame other people for leaving you behind. If you do well, will you not be accepted? If you do well, will you not be accepted? I want to go through life with one mantra. I shall do well. I want to do well in life. I don't want to be mediocre. I don't want to be average. I shall do well. Because God is saying that if I do well, will I not be accepted? If I do well, I will be accepted and my life will move on to the next stage. And I will have opportunities of life that will improve my standard of living. But if I do not well, the Bible says that sin lieth at the door. It means that just because I decide not to do well, I open the door for a lot of negative things to enter my life. When you speak about the word sin, sin is that which separates you from life, from a quality of life. So just by not doing well, you're not able to get the promotion that you deserve. Just by not doing well, you don't get the opportunities to travel. Just by not doing well, you don't get a salary increase. And you are stuck behind the door. And so because you are stuck, you allow a lot of undesirables to enter into your life. Because you don't do well, you are not able to pay for rent next year. Because you don't do well, your children don't go to school. Because you don't do well, you are not able to pay hospital bills. Because of your own attitude, you allow sin to enter. So you as an individual, your attitudes towards work, your attitudes towards making sure that you do well will benefit a lot of other people. Don't make a bad choice and be angry because somebody is doing well. So there are two doors of life. One will open into a good future. The other will open into a very negative future. You can stand at the door and cry and beg, but the door will only open to those who do well. If you do well, will you not be accepted? So today, I'm going to just share with you how to do well. Because it is important for all of us to do well. The future is going to be determined by our attitude now. Do you want to do well? I know when you ask this question, the rhetoric answer will be yes. But we are going to examine something in the Bible and find out whether people truly, really want to do well. Because many people are going through life, they don't have any ambitions. They don't know what to do. You have to decide, I will do well. How do I do well? The first thing is that, and the most important thing, is that within you, there is a force of life that you must ignite and tell yourself, I wish to do well. I desire to do well for myself. If nobody wishes me well, I myself, I believe I desire a good life. I deserve a better tomorrow. And so I'm going to put my best foot forward and I am going to do well. That is why we are talking about training. That is why we are talking about acquisition of new knowledge. That is why we are talking about discipline and integrity, because all those things are within your domain. You may not have money today, but if you become diligent, you may not have money today, but if you become disciplined, you may not have money today, but if you choose to walk in integrity and commit yourself to working hard and giving off an excellent job, your future is being determined. I desire to do well. And so in the Bible, Mark chapter 11, verse 24, it says, therefore I say unto you, what things soever you desire, when you pray, believe that you receive them, and you shall have them. What is Jesus teaching us? That what things soever you desire, your life must start with a desire. Do you desire to do well? Do you desire to be great? Do you desire to be rich? Do you desire to do well? No matter what you think about yourself, one of the things you must do for yourself is to have a desire for yourself. So what do you wish for yourself? What do you desire about yourself? Sometimes people walk through life and it's as if they have no hope. They don't have any desires. They like the guys who say, "Amenyenyemi, omuninemu," is because maybe something has hit you hard. And so because of that, you just become indifferent to life. You don't have any aspirations. You don't have any desires. Today, I want to challenge you, because one of the things that is a force of life that will propel you into a future is this question: what do you desire? What are your desires? Can I quickly show you a difference between a desire and a wish, or a desire and a want? A want is not a desire. A wish is not a desire. A desire is a force of life that will push you into a future. So let me just do a preamble. No matter what you think about yourself, you are not a mistake. No matter what has happened to you, you are not a mistake. God has a plan for your life on this earth, and He wants you to do well. He says, beloved, I wish for you above all things that you will prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. But what God thinks about you is that the same way you think about yourself. God wants you to prosper. Do you also desire that you will prosper? God will never force you and will never force His will on you. Even salvation is a choice. It's not a force. God will created you with a free, independent will. You can choose to turn left or you can choose to go right. You can choose to work hard or you can choose. Yeah, relax. How come there's a baby walking up there alone? You can choose to work hard or you can choose to be lazy. If you choose to be lazy, God will not force His will on you. So ask yourself, what are your choices? And when you make a choice, you cannot pray to overrule your choice. So you can't say, I'm going left, but I'm praying in the name of Jesus that I'll end up right. Your choices will always have consequences. And so make a quality choice that I will present an excellent sacrifice. God will initiate his plans for you through your desires. And let me just take 2 minutes to explain this. I know that people talk about a vision. A vision is a good picture of yourself for tomorrow. But if you don't have a desire, your vision will just be a wish. Because what will underlie your vision is that you even have a desire for a vision. So if somebody doesn't have a desire, the vision will be a mere academic practice and it will be a wish. And that is why people can draw a vision on paper, but they never achieve it. Because what will drive your achievement is that you must have a desire. A desire is something inside you. Nobody can give it to you. It is you finding the strength within you to tell yourself, I am tired of where I am. I want to project myself into the future. I am not going to live like this for the rest of my life. I want a better future. And so if God is going to do anything for you, he has to initiate his plan first through a desire. He shows you something and stirs up a desire for you to want it. When you desire it, then he can now bring you to what you desire. So if God shows you something and you don't desire it, even God cannot force that thing on you. So the most powerful force in your life are going to be your desires. What do you desire? What do you really yearn for? What do you long for? And so it is important for you to understand that a desire is God's force of life in you that allows you to long for something or yearn for something, because it provokes a spiritual force of life from God to take you there. God will stir in you a desire because it is only by your desire that allows him to lead you on. If you don't desire it, God can't force it on you. If you don't want it, God can't force it on you. If you don't want to be rich, God cannot make you rich. If you don't want to be healed, God cannot heal you. If you don't want a good life, if God forces it on you, he'll be working against your will. So the first thing that will ignite God into your life is that you must have a desire for what he wants for you. Do you desire good life? Do you desire health? Do you really desire prosperity? Do you want it that badly? So we need to have positive and godly desires. God gives you the opportunity to desire it, so that what he has prepared for you from the foundations of the earth before you were born, he can take you into that. So let me just show you what the devil does. When the devil wants to destroy a person, he frustrates your desires or he kills your desires. Because what you don't have a desire for, you can never have it. What you don't have a desire for, the devil will try to replace godly desires with his own desires. So God has a desire for you, but the devil will give you another desire, because a desire has the force to take you into a destination. If it is a good desire, it will take you into a good destination. If it is a bad desire, it will take you into a bad destination. So if you decide, for example, I have a desire for weed or I have a desire for cocaine, it's your desire. Because of your desire, you will move in a certain direction and go and pick it and end up in the wrong destination. Nobody forced you. Your desires are what led you. If you desire, for example, to go to the stadium, that desire is a force of life. It will begin to talk to you and shape your life and your attitudes and your choices, and you will eventually end up in the stadium. Let's say I want to be a banker. I want to be a doctor. I want to be an engineer. Long before I even see the manifestation, it is because that desire has been worked in me. So when I'm in GSS, I tell my father, I desire to be an architect. I desire to be an engineer. I want to be a doctor. Long before I see the manifestation of that desire, it begins to shape my life. Because I want to be an engineer, look at what will happen. I determine even the subjects I choose in school and what I drop. So because I want to be an engineer, I choose maybe physics. I choose chemistry. I don't choose music. I don't choose geography. There is nothing wrong with geography and music, but my desires allow me to drop them. So you find out that some of the desires you have will allow you to drop other alternatives. Those alternatives are not bad, but because of your desire, some things will begin to exit from your life. Just because you have a desire to be a scientist, some subjects begin to move out of your life. You see, ask yourself, what are your desires? Because some things will drop. Some things you will begin to live them. Not because somebody is asking you to leave them. In fact, sometimes I've spoken as a pastor to people and I've asked them, what do you want to achieve in life? And then maybe your parents will advise you, don't go here, or don't work with that person, or don't do this. The first question you ask is, what is wrong? There's nothing wrong with them. They are still my friends. Why should I leave them? It is not that there's something wrong with geography and music. But if you want to move in the direction of being an aeronautical engineer, then geography and music must be dropped. They are not bad, but they don't fuel your passion to be an aeronautical engineer. So sometimes, by looking at a person's pursuits, you will find out that he begins to drop something. I want to be a footballer. Because of that, I don't choose a boxing academy. I choose a football academy. My choices are affected by the things I desire. There is nothing wrong with boxing, but I don't want to be a boxer. And so I drop it. And because I go into a football academy, even the teachers and the authority figures in my life change. Relationships come into my life that are totally different. So ask yourself, who are the authority figures and the relationship figures and the teaching figures or mentors in your life? Because sometimes you find someone who says, I want to be this. But the authority figures and the people in your life are totally different from what you say you want to be. And you don't understand why you are struggling. You don't understand why life seems to present conflicts in your way, because what you want to become and the people you have brought in your life are totally different. If I want to be a doctor, I will begin to relate with doctors. My subjects have changed. Even the choice of school has changed. I don't go and choose a school that is offering me arts. I choose a school that is offering me science. So my choices are basically fueled by my desire. So let's come to more cogent examples. Do you really want to be rich? Who are the people in your life? What choices have you made? What pursuits are in your life? What books are you reading now? Because I want to be a doctor, the books I'm reading are not some type of books. My investments are different. I'm now going to the library. I'm buying medical books. So you find out that the things you want to do will reflect in how you even spend your money. I want to be a footballer. Even if nobody buys me a football boots, because it is my desire, I will find a way to buy football boots. Because a desire is a force of life. It begins to change my life. It begins to change my choices. It begins to bring new people into my lives. It begins to change where I go to and whom I relate with. So I want to be a good Christian. I want to be the best of the mechanics. I want to be the best I want to be a chef. Your investments, your choices, your role models, the books you are reading, your whole life is now going to be built because your desires, the things you desire. So interestingly, you find a lot of people going through life and you talk to them and find out that they don't have any desire. So even God cannot force his will on you. Because your role models are totally not in sync with your desires. Your investments are not in sync with your desires. You say, I want to be a good Christian. I desire to serve God. Your books, your associations, your relationships, your mentors. I want to be a good singer. You attract choir masters and choir leaders and music books in your life. So I ask you a question. What do you desire? If you do well, Do you desire to do well? Do you have that inner strength that I was born in an environment I don't like, but God knows that, Charlie, I want it, I desire it. And because I desire it, even when other people are giving up, I press on. Even when other people say they are tired, I keep going. Because I desire it. So when you find somebody who is doing something which is not his desire, you will find a lot of excuses, a lot of complaints, a lot of laziness, because he doesn't desire it. And unfortunately, in this country, we have a lot of people who are not working with their desires. I've always wondered why somebody who has gone to medical school can say that I'm not happy doing medicine. Maybe I want to be a chef. And then he totally abandons his medical profession because what is in him is that this is what I want. This is what makes me fulfilled. This is what makes me happy. And so he goes to do it. And you find out that he doesn't have excuses. He's passionate about it. He's going an extra mile. He's investing willingly because that is his desire. And because God works with your desires, the end of it is blessing. I've never seen any rich man who is angry at what he does. Never. People love what they are doing and God blesses it. So you find out that most people who play football, most people who are boxers, me, if you put me in a boxing room, I'll run away. Because if you give me one blow, what am I there for? I'll complain. But somebody who loves boxing wakes up early in the morning. It's a desire. I want to be a boxer. I want to be a great boxer. And so he wakes up in the morning. He applies himself to investment. He's jogging day and night. Why? Because he wants somebody to give him blows. And he doesn't care. And at the end of the day, he makes money because he's working with his desires. We have too many people in this country who are working and are not happy with what they do. So you may find, you go to Kolebu, you find a nurse who is angry. When she's giving an injection, it's as if she's caught somebody she must punish with all her frustrations. When you call her, she's angry because by chance she didn't get a job, maybe, forgive me. And maybe she didn't pass a certain exam, so she found herself becoming a nurse. And so while she's there, it's not her desire to be a nurse, she's angry. You find teachers who are in the classroom very angry because that's not what they planned for. So whilst he's teaching with a cane, will lash every child. Why? Because it's not a passion, it's not a desire. It's not something that is being driven from inside to give off your very best. Abel and Cain, one was driven with something within. I want to give my best. And the other was casual. And the person who gave his best moved into the future. How many Christians desire God? You see, it's interesting that we come to church, but the God we serve, we want to bless. We don't desire him. So prayer is, you are angry at prayer. You are angry at fasting. When we talk about giving, you are angry. When we say all night, you don't want to hear about it. Because deep within, you are like the nurse who's angry. It's only the money. I'm working for a job. I'm working to get an income. But this is not what I really want to be. So it's important because you need to understand Mark chapter 11 verse 24. What things soever you desire. What things soever you desire. I desire that I will be a good father. I desire that I'll be a good husband. You see, don't gloss over things like that. What you desire, God will lead you into it. What you desire, you will find the grace to accomplish it. Because if you don't desire, you will be under bondage. Somebody must always push you. As for me, I don't want to come to church. When I have time, I'll come. I mean, if you were God, and this is the attitude of somebody who wanted a blessing. I mean, can you imagine being married and you don't want the person you are married to? Can you come into God's presence and say, God, I desire you. You are the longing of my heart. I want to be with you just where you are. I want to love you with all that I am and all that I do. and I want to serve you passionately. David said, I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. You see, God will work with your desires. And so your desires must be toward God. Your desires must be godly. It's important you understand that. Your desires will shape your attitudes. It will affect your choices. That longing within you is actually a stirring of God, a stirring from God to be able to eventually make you and give you what He wants to bless you with. It is a strong influence. It will influence the people you meet. It will influence what you drop and where you go. And it's not necessarily because those things are bad, but it will begin to influence your role models. Because your desires will bring you teachers. Your desires will bring you role models. Your desires will lead you into new books and new knowledge and give you new encounters, out of which new visions will be birthed. And so the devil tries hard to fight and destroy your desires, or replace them with ungodly desires, or compromise your desires. So ask yourself, what do you really want for yourself? What you do, what do you really want? Because people are just doing things without a desire. I want to go where I want to be. I want to do what I want to do. Other people may find it difficult, but it's my desire. It is something I deeply want. It drives me. It wakes me up in the morning. It makes me live again. Because I live with a vision. When I wake up in the morning, there is something to look forward to. Do you really desire to be a hairdresser? Do you really desire to be a barber? Do you really desire to cook? Do you really desire to play football? Because it will determine how far God can take you. Because the demands at a certain point require sacrifice. You need to bend over backwards. Spend longer hours. Invest more into what you are doing. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. But what will drive you is that there's something within you that wants the best. Proverbs chapter 18 verse 1. When you have a desire, you are willing to invest. You see, that is what it makes it different from a wish. When you have a wish, it's a wish. But when you have a desire, you are willing to invest to achieve that desire. So a desire will be backed by your investment and your lifestyle choices and demands sacrifices and commitment. Proverbs chapter 18, it says that through desire, a man having separated himself seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom. Through desire, a man separated himself. So because I desire to be a doctor, I separate myself from geography and music. Because I want to be a lawyer, I separate myself from some subjects and from schools. Because I want to be a footballer, because I want to be an architect, there are things I leave behind. So through desire, one of the things you'll find is there's a separation. Some things will leave. Or you will leave some things. And he says, a man having separated himself, number 2, seeketh. You see, your pursuits, your knowledge, your drive. Now you are seeking. Now you are pursuing. You are going to the library. You are not talking because you want to be a chef. You are going to restaurants. You are finding out information. You are seeking. And number 3, and intermeddleth with wisdom. Now you are applying wisdom. You are finding out things and getting knowledge about things and applications that other people don't have. Because a man through desire will separate himself, will seek knowledge, and intermeddle with wisdom. What are your desires? Another verse. We're just about closing. Proverbs chapter 27, verse 4. A desire is something within you. It is what you sleep with. It is what makes you wake up. Unconsciously, it just occupies your being. So Psalm 27 verse 4. Shall we read it together? One thing have I desired of the Lord, and that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple. How many people love the Lord? One thing have I desired of the Lord. How many people come to church and say, Father, I desire this. There's one thing I'm desiring. There's one thing I want to achieve in my life. What is it? That I will seek after you. That I will dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple. How many people go to church and come before the Lord with such a desire? Dan Yankopon, niame piara nyumo no ni peni tawaji chale man nyose ni nkebo ahisho jogba. Many people are in church on a Sunday morning. They don't desire the Lord. But David said, I'll rather be a doorkeeper in the house of the Lord than even to be a king outside. What is your desire in the house of the Lord? I want to serve you. I want to be effective in offering you worship. I want to give you my best. This is David. Why do you want to be a pastor? Because there's a job, another job that I want. I will get some money. No. What must drive you is a desire. I want to be with you, Lord. I want to dwell in thy temples all day. I was glad when they said unto me, let us come into the house of the Lord. Nobody forces me to wake up early in the morning and come into the house of the Lord. Nobody forces me to come and join the choir. I just want to be with you, Lord, because I desire it. I spend extra time in my business because I yearn for it. I spend extra time learning because I desire to see the end result. And I spend extra time in the presence of the Lord. I come for all night. I'm fasting. I'm giving out of love and desire for the Lord. You can't fake a desire. You can't fake it. And he says that because of that, I will dwell in the house of the Lord. I will behold the beauty of the Lord. So what somebody who has a desire sees and notices is very different from somebody who doesn't have a desire. In 1 Corinthians chapter 4, it says, follow after charity and desire spiritual gifts. It means that there are gifts that are not earthly, but there are gifts that are spiritual. How many of you have ever desired spiritual gifts? To speak in tongues, to have encounters with the Holy Ghost, to be used of God preaching the gospel, to lay hands on the sick. Because immediately that desire is stirred up and awakened, a lot of things are going to change in your life. The people you meet, the places you go, the choices you make are all now influenced by your desire. You see, if you are struggling with your Christian life, you've got to ask yourself a lot of questions. Where are my desires? What is my true desire for God? Why do I find it so difficult to be in the presence of the Lord? I desire spiritual gifts. I desire prayer. I desire spiritual encounters and dreams and prophecies. I desire interpretation of dreams. Because a passion or a desire will release a force of life from God. It will give you energy when other people are stopping and when other people are weak. Let me end with the story of a young man I knew many years ago who was selling PK at Circle. He wasn't selling PK in cartons. He was selling PK as a retail person at Circle. And he said, Pastor, I desire to go to the UK. And I said, you sell PK? He said, yes. But I desire it. And with time, the next time I heard, this gentleman who was selling PK had traveled to the UK. And I began to analyze a lot of things. But God began to teach me that when you desire something, immediately you become bigger than what you are at the moment. So today you may be poor. If you desire to be rich, you release a force of God over your life that makes you bigger than where you are now, because that desire begins to drive you into a future from where you are. I know a young man who was selling coconut, who has built 2 houses. If you look at coconut and you look at a house or 2 houses, you ask yourself, how much coconut will you sell to be able to buy 1 bag of cement? But the desire, you see, lifts you beyond your pain and your current discomfort. Because the force of God now begins to make you dream. It begins to make you dream. It begins to make you dream. It begins to make you now act in a certain way. You begin to think in a certain way. You begin to meet certain people. You begin to ask certain questions. and God begins to help you, you begin to deny yourself and save and look for opportunities. And eventually, you will find that you have it. So the Bible says that what things soever you desire, when you pray, believe that you have it. And it says, you shall. You shall have it. No demon can stop you. No principality can stop you. No village demon can stop you. Why? Because a covenant principle has been triggered that allows you to navigate and move through and make sure that things happen. You see the Malays of Ghana. We have academicians who put things as a manifesto on paper. But believe you me, it is not what they desire. They've just done something to tell us. But when they have the opportunity, they won't do it because it's not in their heart. So no matter how much money you give to them from IMF, they will never put the money behind the manifesto because it was never in their heart. A desire is not in your head. A vision can be in your head and you can write it down. And write down a good vision as an academician. But your heart is what will make you accomplish it. You shall have it. You shall have it. The vision, the energy, and the force of life. Today you are poor, sleeping in somebody's veranda. Desire a good house. And because a vision, you see, because a desire is in your current position, that is why it says in Matthew chapter 11, what things soever you desire. What is the next thing? When you pray. Because you have to draw on something greater than yourself. Because by your own energy, by your own effort, you won't be able to do it. So it says now look for some force that is bigger than yourself to make you, to lift you up and help you along the way. So when you find people praying, you see, they are praying what they are desiring. Prayer is not a topic where you join a prayer meeting and say, this is what we are praying about. Then you pray some. You can pray topics and never have a desire. But when you have a desire, you find out that you carry it. You are praying, people don't understand why you are shaking. You are zealous and you are concentrated. They think you are overzealous. But they don't understand it's a desire. It's something that consumes you. You really want it to happen. So I ask you a question. What do you really want? Because if it is humanly impossible, it will drive you into prayer. Can I end with the story of a man called Elkanah who had two wives, Peninnah and Hannah. Peninnah was just giving birth by heart. Without any effort, she was giving birth left and right. But Hannah, the one who was loved, didn't have a child. So the pain of being mocked drove Hannah to prayer. Sometimes a bad experience is what drives a desire, what gives you a desire. Because people are laughing at you. Because people think you amount to nothing. Because people want to disgrace you. Then you get up and say, no, me friend me. So God sometimes allows negative things to happen to you to provoke you to start praying. Because when you have that desire, God in heaven must respond. What things soever you desire. So Hannah began to pray. Year after year, going into the temple. Why? Because the desire now changed her life. She was now found in a prayer meeting willingly. Praying. What's she praying about? That the reproach of barrenness will be taken away. The reproach of being an orphan. The reproach of not going to school. The reproach of always being a poor person in your family. The reproach of never being listened will be taken away. And it drove Hannah to prayer. Hannah prayed. She prayed so much that at one time, everybody left her. She's come for a prayer meeting. The prayer meeting has ended, but she's still there praying. Because a desire will let you put in extra hours. A desire will let you wait behind when everybody has left. A desire will let you do things that people don't do normally. And so Hannah was there praying. Then Eli, the priest, entered. And that encounter changed her life. Sometimes you go through a bad experience. You sit in a trotro. You are going for a wedding in your white dress. And somebody drops palm oil on the chair. And when you wake up, all your white dress has now turned pink. And you are so angry and you tell yourself, I will buy my car. You see, that bad experience has provoked a desire in you. And because of that, now you want a car. And because of that desire, you begin to ask for the prices of cars. You begin to talk to your friends. You begin to shape your life because that desire is now pushing and changing your lifestyle and making you make decisions. And after a while, you buy a car. Maybe you are staying in somebody's house. And every morning, the person comes to your house and insults you because you are a tenant. Then you tell yourself, me too, I'll build my house. You see, a bad experience has created a desire within you to also own a house. And so because of that, even though you are tolerating the landlord for a while, every day you are taking plans. Now you are buying land. Now you are building. You are buying blocks of cement. You are now saving. Why? Because somebody who was tormenting you has created a desire within you so that God can give you a house. What things soever you desire. What things soever you desire. When you pray, believe that you receive them, and he says, you shall have them. You see, nobody, no human being can force you and can frustrate your desires because God will help you. You shall have them. You shall have them. What do you really desire to prosper? Do you really desire to have children? Do you really desire to marry, or is it just a wish? Everybody's talking about it, so you also talk about it. Do you really desire to be a good husband, a good wife, a good mother, a good lawyer, the best? So by the time Abel came, what was not seen was that he had a desire. I want to give you my best. I want to offer a more excellent sacrifice. And the Bible tells us in Hebrew, by faith, Abel offered a more excellent sacrifice. I tell you here, nothing can stop what you do. If you yourself, you decide. Nothing. Because this God will honor his word. Father, stir up desires within us. Desires for greatness. There are many people working in life, they know, okay, can manage more French, machu. Minya juma bia meye. Media enyesho, minya kakrakra na media enyeshe. And then you give yourself, oh, because I was born here. Because my father didn't go take me to school. Because my mother died early. Because as for me, I'm an orphan and nobody likes me. Are you the only person who's an orphan who prospers? Are you the only person who didn't go to school who prosper? What is it that makes the difference in all these people? Something within them is called the greater one. They think because you are an orphan or your husband is dead, as for you, now you are going to become. You will not become. Rise up with a desire. God, show yourself strong on my behalf. Show that you are the God of widows and orphans and fatherless and whatever it is. And prove yourself and help me. I desire to serve you. I desire to be great. I desire to be the best. I desire to survive and live. Everybody says you die. You say, I shall live. Everybody says there's a casting down. You say there's a lifting up. Because something within you, which is of God, has risen up. Are you with me this morning? So it is important as a church for us to understand your own desires. The environment may not feed your desires. Get other desires that come from God. Maybe you come to church. How does God give you desires? Maybe you come to church through the word of God. As you are reading your Bible and studying it, God begins to show you things in the Bible that ignites your desire. So now you begin to desire good things. You begin to desire experiences. You read about Hannah and you see that Hannah had a child. So you also begin to desire. You read about Elizabeth. Elizabeth had a child. You read at young people God is using. So you also begin to have a desire that God will use me even though I'm young. God will give you a desire as you go through his word. Number two, God will give you a desire through encounters. So for example, you've come to church today. You are hearing me. You may never have thought of some things, but by hearing the word, something is stirred up within you. You say, no, I will rise up. So you are not here by mistake. Maybe you have a talent, it's never occurred to you, but by hearing the choir sing or by seeing the young men there, all of a sudden you have an example that stirs you up and say, me too. I'll be like that young man. I'll be like that pastor. I'll be like that preacher. and something begins to stir you up within you, because God is igniting your desires so that he can fulfill his purpose for your life. Something must shift. You see, if you don't desire good things for yourself and you're waiting for a political party, that political party may never come. But God is stirring you up. I pray for you. That's Alex. You are Kofi and Mauli. Where's Mauli? Okay. Charles and all of you. I pray for you. I know, you see, when the ladies were singing, I was kind of crying. Because when I look at your mother was a very exceptional woman. I can't even describe her. She's one person none of us in school can say a negative about. Very, very, interesting woman. When she started coming to this church, she was like a visitor, but she became my friend and my wife's friend. And she would call us and laugh and chat and will misbehave and everything. The last time I saw her was on my 60th birthday. When she said she wasn't well, but she was going to come, so she came over. We had a few laugh and things. And she said, "Oh, Pastor, now I'm tired, driving all the way from Frafra and coming all the way to Choco." Every time after church, she would come, we'll sit down and we'll eat wache, and she would take donuts and we'll laugh and everything. Very sad in the prime of her life. 60, 61. She's gone. What can a human being do in the face of death? Sometimes you feel so helpless. What can a human being do? You can't bring a dead person back. But I can speak the word of God to you. That may God make you find strength and find help and rise up. And let your mother, wherever she is, if she can see you, be proud of you. God is the creator. Your mother played a role. Our fathers played their role. But this God who is ever constant, who would outlive our mothers and our fathers, will still hear and answer. And I pray for you that this God will help you. This God will strengthen you. This God will stand with you. But let him work with your desires. Desire to live. Desire to live. Desire to do well. Let that be your prayer when you wake up. God, help me do well. Maybe I had a mother who was comforting me and giving me words and encouraging me. But now, God, you help me. Give me advice when I need it. Strengthen me when I need it. Hear my prayer when I call. Help me. Make me rich. Look after my grandchildren. Look after my children. God will hear you. If there's any prayer I pray for the Blue Wave family today, I pray for you that God will help you. This God, he makes things well. How do you say it in tree? Let God make you well. Let this family even be better. You see, let it be said that even after Gracia left, God came in a way you never imagined. He made you better. He made you more united. He kept you as one. He gave you people to stand with you. And above all, he brought you close to himself. I pray for you. As a church, listen to me, young ones. Your parents, you can't blame them for your life. They've done their best. And they may never do better than they've done. But don't be angry and blame your parents. Because there is God. And so, take this God. What things soever you desire. Charlie, pray. Pray for yourself. Pray for yourself. What things soever you desire, pray. That is why I'm here every Friday night to pray. I'm not too big to say I need God. I'm not too rich to say I need God. I'm not too educated to say I need God. I need him. And I need him every hour
And so I pray for you
that there'll be a stirring up with good godly desires. That God stir up our desires towards you and drive us into the future you have designed for us. Shall we rise on our feet?